Hello, and we're live. It's Magic Monday. I feel like we need a theme song for Magic Monday. It's Magic Monday. I will not sing ever again. I'm really sorry about that. Hi, guys. My name is Katie Ream. I am a life coach and I am the founder of Strong Mom Coaching. It is a unique, one of a kind coaching program where I work one on one with women who have children to help them find motivation, inspiration, and empowerment to lead the fittest, healthiest life possible. My tagline is I help mamas get fit and do epic shit because this is the only life you got, mama. Like, if you're not living it for you, then I don't know what that's about. So, today's topic is super exciting. We're going to talk about motivation, specifically motivation to exercise. And let me kind of set the picture for you. If you are an individual who either is new to a fitness routine, or who is thinking about embarking on a fitness routine, or is someone who has been fit in the past and then you had children and your entire life was derailed and you're struggling to find motivation to exercise, I have got the biggest mind hack for you. You will be able to take this information that I am going to divulge onto you, and you'll be able to implement it today, and you'll get busy and get your goals. So I'm going to pull up my notes. You guys, I took notes because I have a lot on this topic to share. I am obsessed with the topic of motivation um, because it's so fascinating. It's such like a foundational piece of human behavior. And yeah, it's just interesting. So, motivation exercise. Um, are you an individual who has in the past thought that they wanted to start exercising, exercised, didn't enjoy it, and thought, screw it, I'm just not the person who exercises? Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a workout routine and thought, this is hell, I hate it, I'm done, I'm out? What's up, Megan? It's good to see your face, girl. Woohoo! Um, so if any of these thoughts have entered your brain at any time, here is something I want to offer you. There is no one on the face of the planet, not even Serena Williams, who wakes up and is like, I get to go exercise. Yay. I get to suffer. I get to push my body so hard that it hurts. No, that is not a naturally occurring experience in our brain. It's not a naturally occurring thought. It's not a naturally occurring feeling. Our body is not hardwired to enjoy suffering. Our body is not hardwired to enjoy participating in activity that is not efficient with energy. Okay, this is totally anti to evolution and survival of the fittest type theories. So, if you think that one day you're just going to wake up and poof, the magical fairies are going to just poop motivation onto you, I'm sorry, sister, you are in the wrong space. Motivation is something you have to create for yourself, and I'm going to show you how. So let's start first by understanding that there are let's start first by understanding how our brain works, because this is going to set the foundation and the context for a theory that is going to inform you as to why you are not getting motivated so that you can change your thoughts and get motivated. So let's talk really quickly about the upper and lower brain. So, and again, I'm not a neuroscientist. If you're a neuroscientist, you can applaud my efforts to describe this, but just roll with me here, right? The upper brain includes your frontal lobes, right? So we can think about the upper brain as this piece in our head right here. The upper brain is responsible for those functions that require cognitive thinking, such as decision making, planning, thinking about what we want in the future. inhibiting our impulses. Okay, this is all upper brain work. Now, our lower brain work, we can think of our lower brain as the brain stem and the cerebellum. And the lower brain really operates subconsciously. So it's your lower brain that is responsible for breathing. It's your lower brain that's responsible for that autonomic nervous system. So when we think about our base automatic responses, think fight or flight. And that's really the role of our lower brain. Now, the lower and the upper brain work together constantly in constant communication. And I like to think of it, here's a visual, here's an analogy for you guys. I like to think of it as your lower brain is your toddler. And if you're a parent of a toddler, you're going to give me an amen here, you'll get it. Your lower brain is your toddler, and your upper brain is the parent, is the adult. Okay, so your lower brain is going to have all of these base impulses, and it's going to go, but I want to eat the candy. I want to lay on the sofa and watch Netflix. I want to have sex all day. I want to, and I don't want to go to work. That's the toddler throwing a tantrum. That's the lower brain. The upper brain is the parent and is going to have to intentionally regulate these base subconscious impulses of the lower brain. Okay, there's the upper and the lower brain. Hey, Megan. Oh, Megan says she's going to watch the replay because she didn't want to go to the gym today, but ended up PRing her pull-ups. Hell yes, girl. Oh, I love it. So good. Pull-ups. Like if you're a lady that can do pull-ups, you're kind of a badass. I love it. Okay, so there's the outline of the upper and the lower brain. Now, again, toddler, adult. That's a useful analogy for you to kind of place in your mind as we move forward. I want to talk about the motivational triad. And now this is, I read a book called The Pleasure Trap. And the authors are clinical psychologists, Dr. Doug Liesel and Alan Goldhammer. And I enjoyed this book. It's good. I recommend that you get it. It's called The Pleasure Trap. So they describe this research that they've conducted to understand our lower and our upper brain and why it operates the way we do. And specifically, they were interested in why does our lower brain have these primal impulses? And to explain these primal impulses of our toddler brain, they came up with a theory called the motivational triad. And they define these impulses of our lower brain as for three reasons. So our brain has these impulses to seek, because our brain wants to seek pleasure, to avoid pain, and be efficient. This is useful to know. If you are a person who has the thought, I do not want to exercise, I do not enjoy exercising, etc., it's useful to understand what that base subconscious urge of your brain is so that you can intentionally undo it. Okay, so let's dive into it. So our brain is motivated by a primal impulse to seek pleasure. Now, pleasure is really interesting. It's interesting to read the neuroscience on pleasure because there is a specific part of our brain that is considered the pleasure center. And it really is. And this pleasure center of our brain associates certain behaviors with dopamine. So oftentimes when we talk about the pleasure center, we're doing it in the context of addiction. Behaviors where we have trained our brain, if we do A, it's going to result in this dopamine, this release of hormone dopamine that feels so good. And our brain is so brilliant that it catches on very quickly. And I'm sure you've heard the research about Pavlov's dog that was done way eons ago, but yet is kind of the foundational research when we think about learned and trained and adaptive behavior. It shows us that our brain is plastic, meaning that it is always growing and changing, and we can train our brain to associate rewards with certain behaviors. So you already do this in your life. If you have decided that you were going to go exercise today, but instead you want to lay on the sofa and watch Netflix, you have just trained your brain to associate Netflix with a dopamine reward and exercise with the antithesis of a dopamine reward. You've already done it. You're already training your brain whether you're consciously trying to or not. So if we think about our brain's reward center and this natural urge to seek pleasure, how can you train your brain with intention to associate physical exercise with dopamine? Obviously, we can do this chemically, right? We can take high doses of caffeine, which I do not recommend. There are performance enhancing drugs, all of these things that will chemically expedite this rush of dopamine during exercise. Or we can do it the healthy, long term, smart way. What is it for you as an individual that makes you feel good? Friends, connection, conversation, intellectual stimulation. Like just sit back for a minute and do kind of a mental inventory. What are some of those things that help you feel pleasure? Now, can you associate that pleasure with exercise? Even better, can you do those things while you're exercising? So, if we want to tap into our brain's naturally kind of base instinct to seek pleasure, let's train our brain to associate pleasure with exercise. How do we do that when we're first starting out? Call a friend. Ask a friend to go exercise with you. And it doesn't even have to be like going and training for a half marathon. Ask a friend to go for a walk with you around the block. Call your sister who lives, I don't know, 7,000 miles away and bring her with you on the phone as you go for a walk around the block. Go to a gym where you know there are people that you can get that base human connection, one-on-one relationship building. So for you uniquely, think about what in your life makes you feel good, gives you that feeling of pleasure, and how can you bring that pleasure in to your exercise routine? Um, Another way is water. Another way is water, right? Yeah, no. Um, um, Another way is to be really mindful of how you feel after exercise. So the action, the activity of exercise in and of itself in the moment may actually not feel good. But afterwards, your dopamine is going to be firing like crazy. This is the time to tune in. Really like take a minute to think about, oh, I'm feeling really good right now. Intentionally acknowledge that you feel good either during the exercise or after. You have to be intentional about this. Why? Because our brains are wired with a negativity bias. We're going to see the negative. If it's raining on our run, we're going to see the rain. You have to look for the good. Look for the pleasure. Train your brain to associate pleasure with exercise. So, my tips there, look for friends connection during the exercise. Be intentional about thinking about the positive aspects of that exercise, the way you're feeling about that exercise. And then another way that I've found in my own life is to be goal oriented with the exercise. So I'm not just out cranking out miles for the sake of cranking out miles. I'm out cranking out miles because I know that long term I have a goal. There's something that I'm intending to do that will absolutely bring me pleasure and joy. So maybe that means I'm intending to go camping with my family in 2 weeks. And so right now, I just want to make sure that my legs are steady enough to be able to carry a 40-pound toddler. So you can use a goal, a future goal, to help increase that experience of pleasure and subsequent dopamine during the exercise. So your brain is naturally wired, that toddler brain, that base impulse is going to want to seek pleasure. On the outside, pleasure is the antithesis of exercise. So you have to do the opposite. You have to intentionally create and associate pleasure with exercise. It doesn't have to be exercise in the moment, right? You're not running a marathon and at mile 13, you're like, yay, this feels wonderful. No, it can actually feel like crap in the moment. But afterwards, when your brain is wired, those neurotransmitters are cranking out dopamine like crazy, be intentional about registering that. Notice it, focus on it, take it to the bank. Okay, so that's the first part of the motivational triad, to seek pleasure. The second part of the motivational triad, the second thing that our toddler brain is going to do just as a base impulse is it's going to try to avoid pain, right? I mean, and that makes evolutionary sense. No one's going to just throw themselves into the fire. We know that our goal is to stay alive. And if we want to get too technical about it, we want to stay alive long enough to reproduce, right? And that's really kind of the theory of the motivational triad, is what are those base level behaviors that will keep us alive in the survival of our species. So how does our brain want us to stay alive? Well, by eating popcorn and watching Netflix, of course. Like pain isn't the good thing. The pain of exercise in that moment, your brain is automatically going to fire off neurons saying, stop, stop, stop. Um, this is why it's really interesting to observe, and I've trained and coached hundreds of people in the sport of cross country skiing and also in the sport of weightlifting. And I have seen over and over again our brain always quits before our body does. Our brain will always say, no, I'm done. It hurts. I'm over it. I want to move on. And it'll start triggering and firing actual responses where you will actually feel, let's do something simple like a bicep curl. You will actually feel your biceps start to like expand and it's like going to bust out and you're just so exhausted and your brain's like, stop, stop, stop. I mean, you can feel this response in you if you notice it. And it's not true. You're not going to die. You're actually totally fine. And 9 out of 10 times, if you can push through that base toddler brain, lower brain, avoid pain instinct, you're golden. You're going to get farther and further than you've ever been in your entire life. So know this, when it starts to hurt is when it counts. That's the secret sauce right there. If you can push through the hurt, know that it's going to be easy from there on out. So, your brain wants to avoid pain. This is the natural base layer, lower brain instinct. If you're not managing it, if you're not monitoring it with intention and deliberateness, you are going to tell yourself to quit, and you're going to quit way sooner than you would have. Here's a really, for me and myself, how I manage this is that one, I anticipate that my brain is going to quit. I know why. I know that this is just how my brain is wired and it makes sense. So I know that will happen. I know the voice is going to say, you need to stop. This sucks. This is ridiculous. And I just decide in advance, before I even start the exercise, when my brain says that, I'm just going to say, hey, I'm just going to like release and let it go. Here's the thing with exercise, it's either drama or it's math. And by math, I mean you just go through the motions. Like it's very simple. There doesn't have to be an emotional anything associated with it. If you're going to go for a run, just go for a run. Put your shoes on, walk out the door. But your brain is going to make it into drama. Your brain is going to say, what the hell? It's raining outside. It's cold. I don't want to do this. The baby's crying. I'm tired. I didn't sleep. Should I eat now? Should I eat later? I don't know what to eat. Maybe I shouldn't go, right? Your brain is just going to spin into drama land. So anticipate that that's going to happen and decide, am I going to make this into math or drama? And I tell you what, I'll even say that out loud to myself. Katie, are you making this drama? Are you making it drama? Because that's ridiculous. It doesn't have to be drama. Just stop the chatter, know that it's going to be uncomfortable initially, and just go. So, when you know that your brain is wired, the lower part of your brain is wired to seek ways that will avoid pain. You have your exercise planned. You know that your body's going to want to poop out before it's actually ready to poop out. Just anticipate it in advance. Know that it's going to happen in advance and ask yourself, is this math or is this drama? Because if I'm going to make it into drama, that's not going to give me the result I want. That's going to be way more mental brain juice like that I'm exerting on whether or not I should go running in the rain or not than I want to exert. Just put your shoes on, just make it happen. Okay, the third way our brain, our lower brain is motivated is, the third way our lower brain will operate subconsciously if we do not keep it in check is that it will seek to be efficient. Now, put like very neurologically, this means an expenditure of energy of calories. So your brain wants to be able to work easily. This is why your brain really, when you're tired, your brain really wants sugar. Have you guys noticed this? Or if you're bored, your brain really wants carbohydrates, those quick, fast digesting nutrients that will give your brain an instant dump of glucose, instant energy. But your brain is not smart enough to recognize that once you get that instant bump, you're going to get a crash. So if you are not intentionally monitoring this subconscious urge or desire, you're going to be eating jelly beans at 9 p.m. every single night for the rest of your life. Know what's going to happen. Know that when you're tired, you're going to want sugar. It's pretty darn normal. Or when you're stressed, you're going to want sugar. Pretty darn normal. Your brain wants to be efficient. So, how can we take this, the fact that our brain wants to be efficient, and apply it to exercise? Obviously, exercise is an expenditure of calories. Exercise is work. It is making your body work so much harder than sitting and watching Netflix. Your brain isn't going to want to exercise. Your brain is going to want to sit and watch Netflix. And you have to intentionally override that. So, in order to do this, really think about, again, that increase in energy that you get after you're done exercising. So, the process, just like Pavlov's dogs, right? We have to train our brain to get into these habits. So, you know you're going to go for a run. You know that during the run, it's going to be uncomfortable. You know your brain is going to say, oh my God, I hate this. I don't want to do this. Can we just turn around? Anticipate it, expect it. Tell yourself, I'm not going to be drama. I'm just going to be math. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to put my running shoes on. Now, you also know that after the run, you're going to feel good. Actually, after the run, you're going to have an increase in dopamine that far exceeds any dopamine rush that you would get from sugar, by the way. And actually, the dopamine rush that you get from exercise is equivalent to the dopamine rush that you get from cocaine. So, hey. Cocaine, running shoes, So know that you're going to have a huge dump of dopamine. You're going to feel good. And you have to intentionally and deliberately acknowledge it, see it, feel it, experience it. Because again, you have that negativity bias if you don't intentionally ask your brain to monitor and experience that positive dopamine rush after the exercise. You're not going to train your brain to associate exercise with that positive dopamine rush. So be intentional about it. Note those positive endorphins. It's so important. So, are you guys seeing a theme here? Really, if you're wanting to get motivated to exercise, do not for an instant think that motivation is going to occur as the result of a magical unicorn coming and pooping fairy dust on you. That doesn't happen. Not even Serena Williams feels a natural biological drive to exercise. It takes intentional, deliberate thought work and management of your emotions and your goals and your thoughts. So, knowing this, knowing the 3 ways your brain is going to try to talk you out of exercise, right? So it's going to try to talk you out of exercise because your brain wants to seek pleasure, your brain wants to avoid pain, and your brain wants to be efficient. You will need to take this information and intentionally anticipate that and do the opposite of that. Remember that desire is something that we learn. So you have to teach yourself to desire something. You do this all the time. You've done it with food, you've done it with sex, you've done it with cigarettes, you've done it with alcohol, you've done it with shopping, you've done it with who knows. I mean, and list anything that, and not just there are lots of like very beneficial things that we can train our body to desire too. But most of us, when we think about what do we desire, we automatically think about those stimuli that adhere to this, that pull on this lower level base urge. So as we're thinking about how to apply this, the next time you have this thought that I'm just not a person that enjoys exercise, or I can never find motivation, no, congratulations, your brain is working exactly as it should. And you know that you're now letting your lower brain, your toddler brain, run the show, and you're going to have to intentionally decide to recruit that adult brain and get that prefrontal cortex working. So, in order to train your brain to do something, you've got to associate it with a reward. And how can we do that? So, let's brainstorm some ideas. How can you find an idea, a thought, a feeling, a system, a strategy that is going to train your brain to associate exercise with a reward? Here's some ideas, and some of these are thoughts that I will offer you, and some of these are strategies. So a thought you can have is, I'm going to go to the gym because it's much needed me time. I use this one a lot. My exercise, the time that I am exercising and moving my body, it's sacred. It is sacred time for me. Do not interrupt it. I will protect it. Not only that, but I've started going to a gym where there's childcare, so I can put my children in childcare for 2 hours and I get even more me time. So, there again, intentionally training your brain to associate exercise with a reward. Or what about, have you just discovered a fantastic and brilliant podcast? Put your earbuds in, head out the door. The only time you can listen to that podcast is if you're walking. Or what about an opportunity to take a cute selfie and post it on Facebook? Sure enough, you will get a dopamine rush from posting on Facebook. So maybe you decide that you're just going to create a Facebook feed of you being active, and that's the only pictures you post. So the only time you get that hit of dopamine from posting on Facebook is a time when you are physically being active. Or maybe go meet a friend during lunchtime and go walk around and have that conversation. Or try out a new class, something new and novel, or plan to get or do something physically active and then plan to go get coffee with friends afterwards. Or here's another one that I love doing, register your kiddos for a sport and then go be the coach of that sport. Don't be the bleacher mom. Don't be the sideline mom. Go get in there, run the laps with them. Heck, you don't even have to coach. Like, go run the laps with them. Um, okay, that'll work up until they're maybe in middle school, and then they'll look at you and tell you to get lost. But use that for as long as you can. It's super fun. Again, or get a kick-ass book on tape and only listen to it while you're walking and running. So it's just a bunch. There are a bunch of different ways that you can associate exercise with a reward. The key is that you know that you have to intentionally train your brain to do this, because your lower brain is going to drive, and that lower brain is going to tell you, be efficient, conserve energy, seek pleasure, stay alive. So know that these excuses are going to come up, and it'll be fun when these excuses come up for you, because you can ask yourself, is my brain trying to seek pleasure? Is it trying to stay alive or be efficient? You can put it into one of those categories. Know that it's going to come up. Don't be surprised when it does. Do not make it mean that you are a person that hates exercise. That's not what it means at all. It means you're a freaking human. Congratulations. In order to be a person who is motivated to exercise, you just have to decide to go and do it. You have to decide that motivation is something that you are going to create for yourself. How do we do that? Well, we've got some strategies, right? But most important, what are your thoughts about it? How are you choosing to think about this exercise? If you're thinking of it as drudge work, as slave work, as something that is exhausting and tiring, you're creating drama. This is not drama. This is math. How do you need to think about the exercise at hand in order to feel motivation? And what does that feeling of motivation, describe it? See if you can just sit with that for a minute. Does it feel like desire, excitement, passion? What does motivation feel like? What do you need to think in order to have that feeling? And then once you have that feeling, how are you going to act? What's the result you're going to get? So at the end of the day, it's all about your thoughts, right? You can act, you can plan, you can go reward yourself with a new pair of shoes with every new mile that you run. But if your thoughts are not in alignment with the desired results that you hope to produce, you're never going to get there. Not in a way that is true and sticky. You want this to stick. So train your brain to get motivated. It's not going to happen on its own. Decide that you want it, go for it, and blow your own mind. Okay, my loves, that's what I got for you. Thanks for joining me this Monday. So go try it out. Find a way to get motivated, and then let me know how it goes. And if you want to take this work further, I am here for you, girl. I tell you what, I offer free sessions. Just an opportunity to hop on the phone and we can go through whatever issue is troubling you right now, and we can hammer it out and find a solution. I also run a 6-week program called Strong Mom Coaching. We build self-confidence. We create a fitness life and routine that operates in your head with true internal motivation. So you're never having to go out and hire a personal trainer or some magical whatever that's going to get you out there and help you achieve your goals. You become the incentive and the motivation behind getting what you want. It is an incredible program. I've had the honor of working with women all over the country through this program. I would love for you to join me. So much fun. So if you're interested and if you want to learn more, just drop me a message, just private message me or comment here and I'll get in touch with you too. So go out, get motivated. Let me know how it goes. Love ya. Mwah.